So we are at the end of your day here at the Student Leadership Exchange. It is my pleasure and it is my honor to introduce our keynote speaker. But before I do that, I just want to give you all a little history of why we have this lecture here. So it is called the Hollister Lecture in remembrance of a faculty member who was one of the chartering social sciences faculty. His name was Bernard Hollister. We actually have a reading room here dedicated to him, and as I know, it used to be his office. So if you ever see that room, I think it's like 134, that was where his office was. We're very lucky today to have some of his family members here, and they're sitting up at the front, so the Hollisters. So I just want you all to know that this is a very special day for them, that they get to come back here, see everything that we're doing, and get a day in honor of Bernie. So with that being said, we have a keynote speaker that I've selected for you all. His name is James Rabelata, and he is an author, a professional speaker, and a personal coach and entrepreneur. In 2015, he published his first book, The Leading Imperfectly, The Value of Being Authentic for Leaders, Professionals, and Human Beings. And so that's actually what we're raffling off today, is 2 signed copies of his book that he's written. He's going to talk to you about the concepts of being an authentic leader, because that is the driving force behind our conversations, our communication, our rapport building, our engagement, and our productivity. So without further ado, I'd like to have a warm welcome, which means hands clapping, for James.
My friends, what is good? How we doing? What's good? What's good? How you doing over here? I see you. What's good, bro? I see you with your tie on. All right, with the pink. Okay, with the yellow. All right, I see you in the blue. I got you back there waving at me. I see you in the back. Friends, I'm so excited to be here, y'all. IMSA, sophomore class. Hey, I love you too. Before we get started, can we give a quick shout out to Andrea and the lead team that helped this whole day happen? The evaluators, to the Hollister family for their continued generosity. Friends, I'm so excited to be here in Aurora, Illinois. I came here from Brooklyn, New York. Where Brooklyn at? That's right. We call it the other Aurora. That's not true. We don't do that. So I'm really excited to be here. I know right now I'm just some extremely attractive man talking to you, and you're like, you know what? So far, so good. But I feel like we should get to know each other a little bit more, and I feel like a natural place to start is to tell you how I eat pancakes. This makes sense, right, friend? You're like, yes. Just please don't call on me again. Just fine. Whatever. So here's how I eat pancakes, friends. First off, you can get out of my face with a short stack of pancakes, all right? Does it look like I've ever only had 2 pancakes in my life? Let me go ahead and do this for you, okay? No, okay? I'm grown, okay? I'm grown. I'm gonna need 2 pancakes. I'm gonna need 3 pancakes, as a matter of fact. And when it comes to my pancakes, I'm an equal opportunist. Same amount of butter and syrup on each one, okay? I'm not like the Bisquick box. You've all seen the Bisquick box before. It's got the big stack of pancakes on it, little yellow pad of butter up top, the syrup just delicately dripping down the sides. Yay. No. No. Because if you eat your pancakes that way, you're cutting into a drier gradient of pancake, and that doesn't make any sense. I like my pancakes equally and adequately soaked with butter and syrup. Where are my people who soak their pancakes in butter and syrup? There you go. 2 hands up. There you go, bro. I see you all the way in the back. I got you there. I got you. Yup, I see you. Right here, my man. Okay. Yup. That's right. So here's the thing. After I get my pancakes adequately soaked and stacked with butter and syrup, what I do is I cut little triangles out all the way around so that I have a star. Then I cut the points off the star so I have another circle. And then I cut more triangles out. It's a very geometric eating experience. And I start that way because I need you all to know from the jump that I'm a little bit weird. But it's okay. I think we're all a little bit weird. But I don't know. Maybe we choose not to get up in front of large groups of people and share our weirds, but alas. but we all have a little something that's weird. For me, I eat things in a lot of weird ways. Like, for example, I really love chocolate, right? I like my chocolate like encased in chocolate, injected with chocolate, right? Anybody else big chocoholic fans? Some chocolate fans? Okay, yeah, right. This is why whenever I eat like chocolate layer cake, the icing is always the best part of the cake, right? Like the chocolate part is just the vessel in which the icing arrives at my love. Which is why now that they're telling us all these new ways that we're supposed to be eating food that we've been eating our whole lives, like for example, these new food hacks. This is why this whole new food hack with how we're now supposed to eat cupcakes. You know this food? Yeah, you got it right. Yeah, you rip the bottom. Oh my God, you rip the bottom of it off. You put it on top. You make a little icing sandwich. Oh my gosh, that's so cute. Yeah, no, friends, here's what I do. I rip the bottom of a cupcake off. I throw it off a dock. I shove the icing into my mouth. That's how we eat a damn cupcake. Thank you. Thank you. Friends, I'm totally kidding. I would never waste food. Again, I would never waste food. But I start that way because I think it's fun to start with our weirds. I think it's fun to connect over some of our stories. So I'm curious, do any of you eat anything in a unique manner? Do any of you mash two random ingredients together or eat something in a peculiar way? You got this. Is your hand going up, friend? What do you got? Pop-Tarts and ranch. Your facial expressions are perfect. Pop-Tarts and ranch. Okay, I don't think I'm going to try that one. Go ahead. So you eat all of the chocolate. There you go. How many people eat your Kit Kats by layer? Kit Kats by layer. There you go. Okay, great. All right. Hang on, we got another one right here, y'all. What do you got? What do you got? Pineapple on pizza. All right. You got some fans. You got some fans. Now, I'm from New York, so I don't know what actual pizza tastes like, but I'm totally playing. I love deep dish. It's just not pizza. So, we got one more over here. We got one more. What was yours, friend? You eat your pizza crust first. Yes, yes. We got community in the room, though. Okay. My friends, I love starting that way. I love starting that way because I want you to think about leadership. We've been talking about leadership all day, and at the end of the day, we always need to leadership, great. We always need to remember that leadership is human. At the end of the day, it's humans leading humans. And so as soon as we forget that, as soon as we start leading because of our title, leading because of our how much money we make, or leading because of whether we think we're better than somebody or not, we start missing the point on leadership. At the end of the day, we are human beings trying to motivate other human beings towards a goal, towards vision. And so that's why I start by sharing these little weirds about ourselves, because we all got a little something weird. Right? No matter if you're a CEO or an entry-level professional, you both do something weird. And there's something that connects us. But power, money, prestige, title sometimes makes us forget the humanity of leadership. And so there's a lot of value in telling our stories. And so I'm going to share another story with you. I was a student leader in college. And when I first went to college, the man that you see before you today, delightfully extroverted, wonderfully charismatic, maybe a little obnoxious. Same guy that you see before you today, I showed up at college and I was absolutely miserable. I was miserable my first year. Now, I did not go to a high school that had a housing option, and so this was my first time living away from home. And so I remember when I first got to school, I wanted to connect with people. I liked connecting with people, but whenever I saw people that I met at orientation, I'd be like, oh, I should go and talk to them. But then I'd be like, nah, man. Or if I saw some people in the dining hall that I recognized, I'd be like, oh, I should go sit with them. Or I'd see some people doing work at the study lounge. I'd be like, oh, I should put my computer up next to them. Or I'd see some people playing ball, I'd be like, oh, I should get next. Right? And so, but right before I did all of those things, I was like, actually, James, nah, man, don't do that. Why don't you just chill, man? Don't go talk to them. You're not cool enough. You're not funny enough. You're not smart enough. You're not hot enough. You're not rich enough. I told myself all these stories that I wasn't blank enough. And so why would I go and talk to those individuals? Isn't it just like us as human beings to sometimes tell our stories that keep us from joy? Sometimes we tell ourselves stories that keep us from joy, from things that we want to do. And so when I finally did get involved in college and I became a little less homesick and a little bit more passionate about where I live. That's because I got involved. I got involved on that campus and I started doing more and more stuff and I loved it. But that's where I spent all my time because that's where I felt the most validation. And validation is such a strong drug. And so I would lean into all that involvement, and then my classwork started to slip a little bit. But I would hang out till late hours of the night with the students that I got to work with, and just hanging out. We'd hang out all night telling dumb stories, telling cool stories. We'd be doing stupid things. We'd be doing fun things. It didn't matter. We were together, and I loved just kicking it with my friends. We'd hang out till weird hours of the night, and there would always be that one dude in the middle of the night be like, yo, bro, I got an idea. Why don't we stay up all night and go watch the sunrise? And I'd be like, hell yeah, let's do it. It's a Tuesday. So we'd stay up all night and go watch the sunrise. And then we go to the dining hall because it just opened. And I don't know about y'all here at IMSA. But at my school, the dining hall, if you wanted eggs, it came out of a carton. You know, those fresh fake eggs. You know what I'm saying? Y'all got those here? Okay, there you go. Yeah, so it's just a little bit sweeter out of the carton. And so we go to the dining hall, and then we go to bed, and then we get up for our early morning classes, right? I mean, maybe they did. I was sleeping. So I started missing class. I started missing class because of the time that I was putting in with the individuals that I loved being with. And the validation that I felt, I let that impact my class schedule. But I was still a leader on that campus. So I still told everybody, I was like, hey, everybody, listen, make sure you get it done in the classroom. Got to make yourself more competent so you can be more confident for those interviews. Let's go. Set it up. Knock it down. Let's put in the work. And they come back to me and be like, James, man, we hear you, bro. But just out of curiosity, man, did you even buy books this year? And I'd be like, yo, don't worry about me. I get my work done after y'all go to bed. And that was a lie. I went to bed when they went to bed. So I was a giant hypocrite. And leadership and hypocrisy are like oil and water. So let me ask you a question. If I had somebody here standing next to me and I told you this person's a leader, can you do me a favor? Just shout out some of your favorite leadership characteristics in other people. Just shout some out. Nice beard. I agree. I'll pay you later. Let me see. I heard confidence. What else? What else I hear? Obama. Great. Obama. Great. All right, hang on. The shout-out part didn't work because y'all actually really engaged, and that's awesome. That's a good problem to have. Let me see. Let me put a hand up if you have an idea of what leaders are made of. Put a hand up. What quality are you thinking of? Good at knowing who to delegate tasks to. Right. Understanding their team in the back in the green. Time management right here. Integrity, yes, right in the back. Yes. Honest, right next to you. Role model, right next to you. They can articulate themselves well. Yes. How about you, friend? Passion in the back. Loyalty. We got anybody over here? I'm missing hands. I know I'm missing hands. Over there you go. A sense of humor. What? So, my friends. Oh, yes, one more. Passion, right here. Respect. Yes. Considerate. Huh? All right. Listening to others. My man. Good looking. You rang. Go ahead. Charisma. Yes, last one. Kindness. My friends, you nailed it. We know the qualities that make up great leaders. We can list them off all day. So let me tell you about myself. I'm a disorganized procrastinator who's awkwardly friendly, who is also cocky around my fellow professionals. Thank you. My friends, I'm disorganized. If you were to come and look at my desk, it looks like I set a toddler on top of a stack of papers, and the kid just started going like this. Yay! Where are my people who are super organized in the room? Where are my color coders, my highlighter users, my Microsoft Excel, and my AutoCAD lovers? There you go, okay. That's my bullet journalers. Yeah, all right, there you go. That's it. You can keep your hands up proudly, friends. I'm not going to come touch your stuff, okay? There's a woman over here who grabbed her backpack like, I have a system. You stay away. I'm a little disorganized. I'm also a procrastinator, but I think we should talk about that tomorrow. What do you think? That was a dumb joke, y'all. That was a dumb joke. That one was bad. That one was bad. That's fine. It's okay. Some of you will get it later. That was a better joke, right? That was a better joke. That was a better. We got you. So, I'm also awkwardly friendly. Like, I'm the guy at the end of the night at a party who's like kind of like back up here, posted against the wall, and everybody else is leaving. I'm just kind of standing over here like, hi. The people are like having the gathering, like, James, man, what are you still doing here? I'm like, I don't know. It's like finally quiet. Why don't we have a deep conversation? They're like, no, man, we're going to bed. I'm like, oh, okay. I'm the guy who lingers a little bit too long. I share a little bit of too much information about myself. Maybe you've noticed. I just share a lot unnecessarily. So I'm also cocky around my fellow professionals. I got my master's degree at Clemson University down in South Carolina, and got it in counseling. And I remember my very first day of my first professional job ever, post-master's degree. I walked in first day, first job. I was like, ha ha! You're welcome. I have arrived. Feel free to read the top of this piece of paper right here. It says master on it, okay? What do you want me to do? Everything? I can do that. I was real cocky with it. But here's the thing. I think all that cockiness was just to cover up my intense insecurity because I didn't think I'd actually be good at my job. But let's not worry about that, right? Thank you, guys. I appreciate the sympathy. Appreciate you. So, I was a little cocky, though. But it's interesting because when I have you shout out the qualities that leaders possess, I didn't hear anybody yell disorganized. I didn't hear cocky. I didn't hear procrastinator. I didn't hear awkwardly friendly. But those are all parts of who I am, and they're parts of who I am that I don't shy away from. I especially don't shy away from them with the teams that I have the opportunities to work with. Because if I want those teams around me to let me know what their strengths are and what their weaknesses are, then I also need to be ready to share with them my strengths and my weaknesses. Because we're not getting better if we're not talking about it all. Right? Teams are not a bunch of individuals that are exceptional at one thing that come together to nail down a task. Teams are a bunch of individuals that are exceptional at different things that come together to accomplish that task more efficiently and effectively. But we're not getting there if we're not also talking about our weaknesses and our strengths and our areas of growth. As leaders, it's important to remember that it's not only your job to impact others' lives. As leaders, it's also your job to let them impact yours. As leaders, it's not only your job to impact others' lives, it's your job to let them impact yours. But we're not getting there if we're not talking. And so it's on that jumping stone that I want to kind of leap into what we're talking about today. Today we're talking about something called authentic leadership, as Andrea told you about. And authentic leadership is something that I thought I came up with a number of years ago in a moment of brilliance. And turns out I did a quick Google search and some guy wrote a book called Authentic Leadership. That's fine, that happens. Either way, the talk that we're going to have today, there's going to be a couple of moments where we're going to get a little bit deeper, and I hope that's okay. I hope you'll come with me in some of those moments, all right? Let's jump in. As a professional speaker, I have been carefully taught that I need to teach you things through acronyms. So I'm going to teach you a word today. That word is PORM. Can you say it for me? PORM. The word's PORM. Can you say it for me? PORM. PORM, authentic leaders are purposeful. They empower others. They own who they are. They're real, and they follow their morals. PORM. My friends, what does the P stand for? Purposeful. Big cheat sheet up here, okay? Feel free. Feel free. Purposeful. As leaders in your organizations, as leaders in your groups, as leaders in your future communities, it's important to remember that your intent will influence your impact. Your intent will influence your impact. Have any of you ever worked alongside somebody who was only in their role because it was going to look good on their resume? Have you ever worked alongside somebody like that? A couple of hands? Yeah? Can somebody tell me, why is it frustrating to work with someone like that? Why is that frustrating? Let's go right here first. care about how they look and not the task at hand. I love that. Yes. Yeah, they're not passionate about it, for sure. Yeah. Other thoughts? Other thoughts? What's the yes, friend? They only do the required things, right? Yeah. They're not raising the bar, they're hitting their head on it, right? Yeah, for sure. Yeah, right? They started from the bottom and they're still there, right? That's an old Drake quote. Keep up. So, yes. They don't care about making something great, making something whatever. They're just trying to check a box. Yeah, for sure. Yes, friend. They settle for good enough, right? Yeah, we know these people. Yes. Yeah, clap it out for yourselves. I love it. I love it. We know these individuals. These are the individuals, when you have service projects, that you, maybe you're going to an elementary school and like painting the wall in an elementary school or something like that. These are the people that show up to that project and they're wearing whatever your organization's or school's name is. They got that clean shirt on, you know what I'm saying? They're showing up with that clean shirt and they hand you their phone and be like, hey, can you grab a quick boomerang of me real quick? All right, cool, that's what's up. All right, then they grab the paint roller and they're like, and be like, all right, cool, you got it? Hey, cool, I got to go, but I love kids. Y'all take care, all right? They're not there to make a difference. They're there to make it look like they care about making a difference, which is different. These are the individuals who, as you get into more and more organizations and leadership meetings and whatnot, staff meetings, these are the individuals that sit in the back of meetings and complain, but they never actually run for anything themselves. Right? None of our positions, none of our organizations that you are in, the organizations that you have in this institution, none of your organizations at this high school have a position called wise old sage. That some burnt out senior gets to sit in some cool chair and be like, I think we should do this. And then they're not allowed to do anything, right? Like, that doesn't exist. The organizations that you are a part of are about action. They're about figuring out what matters and driving towards it. So there's some frustrating aspects of all the work that you will do. I'm currently in one of my dream jobs, and there are some frustrating aspects of what I do, but my purpose is greater. And so my purpose is basically a bulldozer that pushes me through some of the frustrating aspects of my work. I have a really good friend. His name is Steve, and Steve works for NASA. There's a good chance he's smarter than me. But he works for NASA, and so I was talking to him the other day, and he said, James, he's like, you know what, I'm thinking of quitting. I'm thinking of quitting because I'm on this project that I don't care about. I was like, this project is annoying. My project manager is really frustrating to work with, and I don't think what we're doing really makes a lot of sense for NASA. I really don't think that our goals of the project even matter, and here I am working at my dream job, the thing that I went to school for and finally got the job. I told myself I always wanted to be working for NASA, and here I am, and I'm like, I don't know if this is where I want to be. He said, but then James, he's like, it's so cool because I just got put on this new project. He's like, I just got put on this new project and I'm happy again. He's like, because I love what we're doing. We're basically designing these rockets that are super quick, and they're really some amazing work, and they're awesome. They're doing hypersonic speeds, supersonic speeds, and we're basically trying to figure out a way to create a rocket that'll fly from LA to New York in 6 minutes, and it's really cool. He's like, it's awesome, man. I'm happy again. I was like, Steve, dude, I'm so glad that you're happy. I'm sorry that you went through that real rough patch with your job, though. I was like, Steve, if you don't mind me asking, man, what was that other position that you were in that was really frustrating? He was like, oh, bro. He's like, they were trying to send some box up to Mars and land it on Mars and then light it on fire because they wanted to see the way fire reacted on Mars. I know. I looked at him. I was like, bro, you need to check your work problems. I'm over here complaining about my email inbox. You're complaining about lighting something aflame on another celestial body. We have different work problems, but whatever it was, for whatever reason, that didn't spark him. And so we have to revisit our purpose. I don't know what it is that you want to do with your lives. I don't know what it is, but I think there's a lot of pressure that we put on ourselves to get into that amazing college, to then get that amazing dream job right afterwards. You can do whatever you want. I have a Bachelor of Science in Marine Biology. I don't know if you've noticed just yet, but there's not one fish around me right now, okay? I currently use my degree to impress dates at aquariums. Yeah, it worked once. Y'all got married a couple months ago. There you go. There you go. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. That's it. Trust and believe I'm just as shocked as you are. But marine biology wasn't enough for me. I was interested in it, but I wasn't passionate about it. By my junior year, I realized my teachers pulled me aside and they're like, you know what, you're putting too many jokes in your scientific papers. I was like, but they're so good. Not the jokes, not the papers. They're like, this may not be for you. I'm like, you know what, I think you're right. And so I still love marine biology, but I went and got a master's in counseling because I love that working with humans is something more that I wanted to do. And I still care about the fishes, right? Like, I still scuba dive, I still do all those things. It's still fascinating to me, but I don't want to spend the rest of my life doing it. You have the opportunity to pivot at any stage of your life. The thing that will make you do it is if you keep referring back to your purpose. And if your purpose is still there, then allow it to serve as a bulldozer that pushes you through some of the frustrating aspects of your work. But if your purpose is no longer there, we're not going to talk about religion in here, but as far as I'm concerned, we got one life to live, and so you need to live it, okay? And so with that being said, you got to do what makes you happy. Pivot and do something that brings you joy if your purpose is not being fulfilled. Bless you. Authentic leaders are purposeful. What does the E stand for? Empower! Huzzah! All right, empowerment. Empowerment's a really cheesy word. No one loves the word empowerment more than educational entities, right? I'm sure if I read the brochure for a potential new student here at IMSA, it says, here at the Illinois Math and Science Academy, we empower our students. And that was written by some dude that says words like finance and research. Right? And there's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that, but the word is thrown around willy-nilly within leadership, and it's become a little bit more cliche. But it's really important. Empowering others is a crux as leadership in action. Leadership is more action, less title. And so here's how I want to talk about it. My friend, what's your name? Say it again. Paola. So nice to meet you, Paola. Paola, is it okay if I tell everybody a story about you real quick? All right, thank you. I'm going to tell you all a story about Paola because y'all been sleeping on her, okay? Y'all been sleeping on Paola. Y'all don't know about her. Y'all don't know about her. Okay? Paola is a beast of an ice climber. I know right now you're like, where? Don't get caught up in logistics, okay? So, one day, Paola decides, you know what? I want to have an ice climbing event. You know what? We're going to raise some money for a really good cause, and how high we climb will determine how much more money we raise. And the rest of us are like, oh, shoot. We get to go ice climbing with Paola, the ice climber? Yo, I've seen her Instagram. It's popping, okay? Like, we're showing up, right? So we all roll out there. We all roll out there. Paola's our natural leader. She's been there the most times. She's got all the experience. She's got all the right equipment. She's showing up with those nice spiky shoes. The rest of us are showing up in Jordans like we didn't know what to expect. But it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because Paola's got it back. Now, what she could do as the most experienced leader of this expedition, if she wanted, she could shoot up the mountain the fastest and then just pull the rest of us up because she's a boss like that. But that's not what leaders do. No, friends, leaders push, they don't pull. Leaders push, they don't pull, because if all she does is pull us up to the top of the mountain, then we're all going to get up there and be like, oh, wow. Oh, yeah, this is really pretty. I don't know how we got here. Paola just, literally dragged us. No, I have a rash. Don't look. Well, I guess as long as we're here. Hashtag mountain. But there's no sense. There's no sense of fulfillment. But if instead Paola's at the back of the pack, pushing us up the mountain, teaching us along the way how to ice climb, giving us those tools, those tricks, those tips to set us up for greatness. So that the next time that we want to climb that mountain, we don't even need her. She set us up for greatness. She's passed on her wisdom. But this time we're climbing together and we all get up to the top of the mountain together and we're like, oh shoot, I just did something. Because we were a part of the success of the mission. In any organization that you are the part of, you'll want to know what part of the greatness you helped accomplish. And if you don't know what part of the story you contributed to, then you're going to be the first one to check out and burn out. So we got to figure out, how can we learn the skills and the strengths and the tools that each other is bringing to our organization to make sure that everybody feels like they are contributing? How are we empowering others to be their best authentic selves, not merely just fit in? Authentic leaders are purposeful. They empower others. What does the O stand for? Oh, is it cool if I get a little bit deeper? Let's get a little bit deeper. Owning who you are is one of the hardest things we're going to talk about today. Because owning who you are involves putting every single facet of your life in front of a mirror. And I don't know about you all, but I personally find mirrors to be pretty scary places. And now, I'm not talking about merely just putting your physical appearance in front of a mirror. I'm also talking about putting your choices in front of a mirror, putting your reputation in front of a mirror, putting your relationships, your friendships, putting your ego, your reputation, all of these things in front of a mirror and truly seeing it. But that's hard because mirrors don't lie. So when I think about this concept of owning who you are, it's a huge concept. It's one that we're all going to take. It's going to take most of our lives to do, but we can do it more consciously. We can do a little bit more consciously. And so I tried to think about like little places where I think this pops up. And I think one place where it comes up where we don't even recognize it is often during the best conversations of our lives. And I think the best conversations of our lives all occur when we're wearing pajama pants after 11 o'clock. Right? Whatever, that late night conversation, whatever y'all doing, someone just whipped up a Pop-Tart with ranch on it, and you're like, let's go. So, but whatever that late night conversation is, where you look like a hot mess, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you wore makeup that day, it gave up hours ago. Right? If you put product in your hair, it's like, nah, bruh, I'm done. You know what I'm saying? You're wearing a hat, it's askew. So, late night conversations, I love it because you're around the people who just love being with you. You're around this community that you feel safe in, and it's awesome. The conversations usually get a little bit deeper in those moments. And so I know, for me, whenever I'm around my friends late at night, usually we're doing half-price appetizers at Applebee's because we got it like that. But we're going to Applebee's or something like that, and I always have a friend that always starts the conversation off with something like, yo, bro, you'll never believe what happened to me last week. And we start to share embarrassing stories about ourselves. Because these embarrassing stories, interestingly enough, they help us own who we are whether we recognize it or not. So here's what I want you to do. I want you to trust me on this one, all right? I want you to turn to one person next to you. I want you to turn to one person next to you. I want you to share an embarrassing story with yourself. Ready, set, go. All right, everybody clap your hands. Hup, 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 hup. How low can you go? All right. Shout out to the cha-cha slide. Friends, how many of you just learned something new about someone around you? I love that. I love that. Okay. All right. So, you all had to share an embarrassing story. It's only fair that I share one in return. At my senior prom in high school, I dislocated my right knee dancing to Shania Twain's hit, Man, I Feel Like a Woman. Now, what I neglected to just tell you is that that occurred during dinner. Y'all, I don't know who the DJ was at my senior prom, but dude was dropping straight fire all night, okay? And so normally during dinner at formal events, they'll drop it down and play like some smooth jazz or some Billy Joel or something like that, right? Some old school. But no, my man just kept coming with the bangers. So I decided with a few of my friends, like, yo, if he's gonna keep the dance floor hot, we gotta make sure it doesn't get chilly. So I skipped the first meal of my life. I went out there, we're having a good time. Man, I Feel Like a Woman comes on. When that song comes on, I really felt like in that point in my life, when that song comes on, you either go hard or you go home. And so I was jumping around, going crazy, and then I jumped to my right side, and my knee blows out. I fall to the ground, I had to pop my own knee back in. I then proceeded to drag myself to the side of the dance floor. My principal rushed over to me and handed me 3 ice cubes. I don't know if those are for my water or my inflammation, but either way, very sweet. I remember later on in the night, later on in the night they played the song, Just Bust a Move. Do you remember this old school track? Remember this track? You want it, you got it. So they played that track, only everybody at my senior prom was like, hey, just bust a knee. That's disrespectful. Friends, we all have embarrassing stories, and it's fun when we share them. Because when we share our embarrassing stories, whether we recognize it or not, we are reminding ourselves that we are resilient. And we have to remind ourselves that we're resilient. Because the next time you're faced with something a little bit difficult, a little bit hard, something that you're unsure of, something that's going to be potentially really complicated or complex, if you know that you're resilient, then you'll be more likely to try. You'll be more likely to start. You'll be more likely to love. So when we share our embarrassing stories, it reminds us that we're okay. Because in the moment, whatever happened to us sucked. But now we got to turn to a friend and share a random story about ourselves and laugh about it because we're fine. So there's so much fun to sharing these embarrassing stories. But then during these late night deep conversations, I'm always that friend who's like, we're having so much fun. This is amazing. These stories are so funny. Now let's have a deep conversation. Are any of you the deep conversation starters in your friend groups? Yeah, okay, we got some hands up. Yeah. These are the people who, when everybody's laughing, you're like, I know, this is so funny. How do you define happiness? And you just got like a mozzarella stick hanging out of your mouth. You're like, why? Why now? So there's a question. There's a question that I ask my friends that I'll ask you right now. And it goes a little bit deeper into owning who you are. It's a very simple question with a complex answer. What is one lie that you tell yourself every single day? So, hang on a second. My friends, I am not talking about, I'm going to go to the gym. I'm not talking about, I'm not going to text her, I'm not going to text him. Got him. I'm not talking about, I'm not going to smack my snooze alarm 3 more times. I'm not about to finish this whole sleeve of cookies. My friends, finish the cookies. Tomorrow is a new day. No, I'm talking about the deeper lies. The deeper lies that we all tell ourselves. For example, a lie that I'm telling you right now, but I don't know if you noticed, but your boy looking pretty fresh up here. You know what I'm saying? We got the nice watch, we got the nice plaid, the cute Nikes. I got Nemo on my socks, Nemo on my socks, Nemo on my socks. So I'm up here looking fresh. But here's the thing: is that this is a shell that I needed to put on today. This is a shell that I needed to put on today because in my twisted brain, if I didn't look cute, then I think you'd be more focused on how unattractive I am than on my message. Because I have a low self-esteem about my physical appearance. For me, a lot of that's actually started in high school. And so, this isn't my time to talk about it and hack through it, even though I know you'd have my back, and thank you for that. But this isn't it, right? Andrea and the squad didn't bring me up here to like cry through my issues. They brought me here today to win. And so every day when we wake up, we need to win. This look that I'm wearing today has nothing to do with professionalism. For me, most professional dress codes are sexist, classist, and archaic. We can unpack that later. But for me, this dress, the way that I'm dressed today has mostly to do with insecurity. And so, but every single day when we wake up, we need to win. And so if we need to lie to ourselves a little bit that day to win, I think that's okay. I think that's called being a human being. And we're allowed to be one of those. We all have these little lies. For example, another lie that I tell myself is, I don't know if you felt it, but we just entered the deeper part of the talk. And whenever I get to the deeper part of the talk, I start to enunciate a little bit more. I start to pace a little bit more. I start to maybe speak a little bit more gutturally. I gesture a little bit more firmly because in my twisted brain, when you're laughing, I know that you're with me, but when you're quiet, I don't know what you're doing. And so I get self-conscious, like, oh shoot, maybe this isn't working, maybe I'm losing you. And so like I need to like sell it to you because maybe it's not good enough. And isn't it just like us as humans to be like, you know what, I'm not blank enough, so let me compensate. We do that all the time. We tell ourselves these little lies that we're not enough. And so I'm curious. I promise I will not call on you. I promise I won't do that to you. But how many of you think that you have a lie that you tell yourself every once in a while? Maybe not every day. Maybe every once in a while. Okay. I appreciate that. Where are my people in the room that say, I don't need to ask for help. I'm going to do it on my own. I got it. No, I got it. I can do it all myself. I don't need any help. Okay. And then where are my people in the room that like to say the phrase, I'm fine? Where are my I'm fine people, right? Your head is actively on fire. You're like, I'm fine. It's Heads on Fire Tuesday, right? Like, yeah. My friends, we all have these little things that we tell ourselves. But we need to start owning these lies. We need to start owning these lies because we're the only people who knows what's going on with us. We're the only people who knows what's going on with our mental health, with our physical health, with our academics, with our finances. We're the only people who knows what's going on in our head and what it feels like to be in our skin and exist in this world. We got to start owning some of these lies that hurt us from just living. And I don't know what owning your lies looks like. Sometimes it looks like me closing the door in my bedroom and blasting some really loud music, probably Fall Out Boy, and openly weeping. That's it. You judge me if you need to right now, fam. Whatever. But sometimes it also looks like me sitting in a really small room on a couch with a man sitting across from me in a chair by a desk who looks a lot like a counselor. Because it's me sitting in a room with a counselor. Because sometimes I need to talk to somebody who doesn't know me. Sometimes I need to talk to somebody who is just implicitly on my team, but also cares about me and is there for me, but yet doesn't know my whole history. Because sometimes when I talk to my friends about like, hey, I'm kind of sad lately, or hey, I'm not feeling as, like things are working out, I'm not feeling as successful lately, or I think, I'm going through this relationship drama. My friends will be like, yeah, well, you used to be happy, so why don't you just go ahead and be happy again? Oh, well, thank you. Who should I make the check out to? Right? Like sometimes I need to talk to somebody. Sometimes I need to talk to somebody who's just going to listen. Because I don't need people to normalize what I'm going through. Sometimes I just need to be heard, right? Sometimes a lot of people are like, oh, you have a low self-esteem about your physical appearance? Okay, cool. Yeah, I think a lot of people have that. Oh, really? Oh, well, let's get everybody together. Let's throw a party then. I'll bring the tears. But it's important that we own some of the things that we are going through. Because every single lie that you tell yourself is a different brick that you carry, and we owe it to ourselves to live a lighter life. And so we have to own who we are in order to be real to other people. You have to own who you are in order to be real to somebody else. But being real in 2019 is fascinating. Being real in 2019 is fascinating, okay? I don't know how many of y'all are like me. I don't know how many of y'all are like me, but I have friends on Instagram that, regardless of how older they are, love to post pictures of themselves standing next to cars that aren't theirs. I'm like, yo, bro, nice Bentley. Last time I checked, you drove a Toyota Corolla. Right? I have other friends of mine on Instagram that apparently have been in Miami for 13 months, even though they live in New York with me. Right? It's like 6 months of the year, they're posting pictures of themselves like, oh my gosh, summer was great. The next 6 months of the year, like, can't wait for summer. It's like, you live in New York. I don't know if you all have been to New York lately, but it's where palm trees go to die, okay? There's like one there, and it's standing there like, where's my family? So, being real is fascinating with the internet right now and social media. And don't get me wrong, I'm all over social media. Your boy looking fresh on Instagram, having a good time, right? I enjoy it. But I think it's fascinating. That we blame the internet for a lot of this stuff. Because the fact of the matter is, you can be whoever you want online, but you can also be whoever you want in real life. You can be whoever you want. When you came to IMSA, you could be like, I'm going to be this. When you walked in that classroom, when you met your roommates, when you decided to join that organization, whatever it was, you make a decision at every moment of who you were going to be. And so my question to you after what's one lie that you tell yourself every single day is, what version of yourself do you allow others to see? What version of yourself do you allow others to see? I have a really good, quick story that I want to tell y'all. Quick story. I worked in higher education for a little while. I worked in colleges because I love developing student leaders. And so I worked on a college campus for a number of years developing college student leaders. And I lived and worked in a residence hall, kind of a lot like what you got going on over here. And we had, one year we had one dude who lived in the building, one of the students that lived in the building, who kept doing a lot of dumb things around the hall, right? He would rip down like the RC's bulletin boards. He would be messing with the fire extinguishers. He would take, do you all have little whiteboards on your doors to like leave each other notes? No? Great. That's probably smart. Because this guy, whenever he saw those whiteboards, he would always like steal people's markers and just be annoying. He just kept doing a lot of dumb things, and we could never really hold him accountable, though, because he would do it all at night, and no one really knew it was him, and so all we could do was slap him on the wrist. But one day he did something bigger, and he stole a whole bunch of stuff from the university's bookstore, and he got caught. Clearly an issue. So my supervisor had caught wind of this gentleman. She said, hey, you know what, we got to sit down with him and have like a judicial hearing. And so we sat down with this man, and we asked him, why'd you do it? He looks us back dead in the eyes. He's like, you've never done anything wrong. I'm sitting there like, excuse me? I was like, bro, you're never going to be a lawyer, right? Excuse me, Your Honor. You've never done anything wrong? I rest my case. Not the way it works. But my supervisor decided that she wanted to one-up him because she looks him back dead in the eyes and she's like, actually, I haven't. Right? I'm sitting next to her. Now, I wanted my job. So I was sitting right next to her. I was like, it's very true. But he obviously knew that she was lying, so he called her out. He's like, okay, sure, lady. So you've never driven 38 in a 35. You never sent a text while driving. You never jaywalked. You never rolled the stop sign. You never, slipped a sugar packet from a restaurant into your pocket. Like all these little things that many people have done on a regular basis. He looks her back dead in the eyes. She looks him back dead in the eyes, and she's like, no, I've never done any of those things. And I'm sitting next to her like, who the hell is this? I'm sitting there in my head being like, ma'am, who are you trying to be right now? I was like, I know for a fact that just yesterday, you and I were doing 75 and a 55, bumping up the west side of Manhattan to the new Ariana Grande taking selfies, okay? And y'all, I'm not complaining about that moment, okay? I was having a great time. That new album is fire. But we're sitting there and being like, I'm sitting there like, who are you trying to be right now? He's saying the same thing. And I watched this student shut off. And the reason why this man shut off is because as human beings, we can't learn from people who are perfect. We can only learn from people who are imperfect. As human beings, we can't learn from people who are perfect. We can only learn from people who are imperfect. If you think about the jobs that you will have later, there are very few jobs that demand absolute perfection. For example, I never want to hear my neurosurgeon go, oops. Oops. Right? Like, I'm going to need you to be perfect, please. But in general, especially when it comes to leadership and working with other human beings, perfection is never the goal. But we put a lot of pressure on ourselves to be perfect. But that's not kind to us. So she missed the boat with this student. Because even if she said, after he rattled off this whole list of like, oh, you never sent a text while driving, you never, all those things, even if she looked him back dead in the eyes and she was like, yeah, I've done all those things. I just wasn't dumb enough to get caught. Like, even there, we're having a real moment with this student. We can continue the conversation, but she shut the door, because that's what trying to teach someone through perfectionism does. When we try to be perfect around each other, when we try to teach each other through perfection, it shuts the door to growth and learning, and it only leads to shame. And shame's not an effective teaching tool. How many of you at some point in time in your life, you're like me, where your parents said a phrase like this to you? Your parents or guardians said a phrase like, you know what? I'm not mad at you. I'm just... Whoa! Oh! Didn't that suck? That phrase is terrible, right? Whenever I think about that, I'm like, oh, cool, yeah, no, this is my family tree. I'm the broken limb, right? Like shame is not an effective teaching tool. Shame only begets more shame. And so we've got to start teaching each other, instead of through perfection, teaching each other through our stories and our experiences. Because those are the things that are way more relatable and powerful and tangible, right? I could stand on this stage right now, and if I wanted to, I could spout out some Mahatma Gandhi quotes. I could shout out your Wayne Gretzky's. I could shout out your Eleanor Roosevelt's. I could shout like these famous, iconic Martin Luther King quotes right now. And all of those individuals deserve to be the icons that they are, because they have impacted our entire world in really beautiful and important ways. But I don't get up here and I share those quotes. Instead, I share my stories, because the fact of the matter is y'all are going to become me before you're going to become the next great game changers. And so let me give you a little bit of a story to show you that your journey does not have to be perfect to get to greatness. So my next question to you is, in your organizations, on this campus, at the school, are you who you're supposed to be, or are you yourself? Authentic leaders are purposeful. They empower others. They own who they are. They're real, and they follow their morals. Morals. Let's just keep the party going. Am I right? When I say morals, I'm just simply talking about your own personal definition of what's right and what's wrong. However you got there, that's awesome. Did you get that from your family? Beautiful. Did you get that from your faith? Beautiful. Did you get that from your life experience? Beautiful. However you came to your definition of what's right and what's wrong, that's what I'm talking about with morals. Authentic leaders are not perfect morally, but authentic leaders strive to make decisions through their morals. Let me tell you about a time where I didn't do that. From 7th grade to my sophomore year in college, I had a giant stealing problem. Random? Yes. True? Yes. Now, don't get me wrong. I wasn't out doing like bank heists and carjackings, okay? Truth be told, I had an affliction for anything in an orange and brown wrapper. Does anybody love Reese's as much as I do? Yes, friends. Yes, exactly. I love Reese's. So I used to steal a ton of candy, and I never got caught. And I used to justify it in my brain and be like, well, James, they always told you if you're good at something, you should follow your talents, James. Yeah, it's not really the way it works. So, but I used to keep stealing stuff, and then I never got caught, and I remember, like, even when I got to college, I would steal things from my roommates. I'd be like, yo, Brian, you want a Kit Kat? Jake, you want what do you want, a Milky Way? Cool, yeah, I'll grab you that. We'll call it a no-tell tax. And I used to steal a bunch of stuff, and I never got caught. It wasn't until my second year in college that I became a student leader, and that still wasn't quite enough to change me. But second year in college, there were these really big speakers that came on sale, and I really wanted these big speakers. Why? I like big speakers. You can judge me if you need to. We all got a thing. So I really wanted these speakers, but I didn't have any money. My paycheck had come the last Friday, and I had already spent it all, and I wasn't getting a paycheck till the next Friday because I wasn't smart with money. And so I was in that like ramen noodle packet phase of life. But I really wanted these speakers. They were only on sale this 1 week, and so I did what any privileged college student would do, and I called my parents and said, Mom and Dad, listen, is there any way you can send me some money? It'd be amazing. These speakers are going to be, they're great. They're going to last me for the rest of my life. It's true, I still have them today. But they're going to last me for a really long time. Mom and Dad, is there any way you can send me some money? Because you know what? I'm getting a paycheck on Friday. That's 5 days away, 6 days away. You can't even spell interest in that much time. Mom and Dad, what do you think about it? My parents were like, you know what, James? We will send you the money. And I was like, holy shoot, it worked. But then my dad kept going. He's like, but you got to promise me that you're going to stop stealing. And I was like, who told Dad? To this day, I don't know how much Dad knew in that moment, but Dad knew something, and so I was just like, okay. He said, James, he's like, I don't get it, man. People see you as a role model. Why are you doing something that if anybody found out about it, they would immediately have to question who you are? When we come down to see you at college, James, your mother and I love to walk around that campus, and we meet the administrators that work with you on a daily basis, and they pull us aside and they say, Mr. and Mrs. Robillata, I want to thank you for letting your son come to college here. He's been here for a great 5 years because I took a victory lap in college, okay? No shame in the 5-year plan. And so I took, he's been an amazing community builder, a great student leader involved in so many things. And James, when you introduce us to the people that you work with as a student leader also, some of those students come aside and they say, oh, Mr. and Mrs. Robillata, I just want to let you know that your son helped me go through this breakup with my partner from high school, and I really appreciated him being there for me, and he helped me get this on-campus job. And you know what, I think I want to be a student leader like he did because I know what he did for me. I want to do that for more people. And it's so cool, Mr. and Mrs. Robillata, because every once in a while, he just like throws me a bag of M&Ms and goes, it's a no-tell tax. He said, no, James. The M&M part didn't happen, but the rest of it did. He said, so James, why are you doing something that if anybody found out about it, they would immediately have to question who you are? He said, James, why are you doing something that if anybody found out about it, they would immediately have to question who you are? My friends, I don't know what you got. If it's illegal, maybe just go ahead and stop. Okay, good talk. Okay, good talk, great. But actually, like, whatever it is, like, I want you to think about just some of the things that you do in your world. And if they align with who you are and what you believe to be right, then keep doing them. And if they don't align with who you are and what you believe to be right and where you hope to go one day, then we've got to start the process of breaking down some of our patterns so we can try to pivot. And that takes a while, but we've got to start doing it. And I don't know what this looks like for you. I don't know what it looks like. In a world today where sometimes what it looks like is when you're sitting in a room with a whole bunch of people who look like you, think like you, believe like you, love like you, come from where you come from, practice faith like you do, and you let something fly about someone who looks a little bit differently, who thinks a little bit different than you, loves a little bit different than you, practices different faith than you do, comes from a different spot than you do. Whereas one of those individuals walked in the room at that exact moment, they'd be pretty offended by what you were saying. Because maybe, just maybe, what we are doing in this country just a little bit too much is not listening. Instead, we are saying, oh, you come from here, or you think like that, or you believe like that, or you love like that, you do that? All right, cool. Why don't you get in your box? Because we know how to deal with you people in your box. My friends, in our worlds, we've got to learn to read and listen to people's stories before we write them. We have got to ask before we assume. That is how we develop a strong moral character. by getting stories from different walks of life, from different types of human beings, and then trying to figure out, okay, let me piece all that together and determine what is right for me. Not just, well, this is what my social media feed constantly is telling me, or this is the only thing my parents have told me, or this is what the news is telling me. You've got to get stories and meet individuals. I hope that when you go to college, you will take advantage and do things like study abroad and see a new place. But you've got to soak up everything that this world has to offer in order to truly know what you think about other humans. That's how we build our morals. But authentic leaders are never perfect morally. Instead, they just strive to make decisions through our morals. My friends, authentic leadership is hard. It's complicated. There's so many layers to it. There's so many layers to it. Well, what a lot of it comes down to is vulnerability. And vulnerability is a scary word. Some of us just clammed up a little bit like, oh God, vulnerability. We clam up when we hear that word because vulnerability is often associated with weakness. But if vulnerability is such a weakness, then why is it so damn hard? We must remember that it is so much harder to confront and have a conversation than it is to avoid. It is so much harder to own what's going on as opposed to compartmentalize. Vulnerability takes courage, and leaders are courageous. But vulnerability is scary because no one else knows what's going on in your world. No one else knows how that divorce affected you. No one else knows what's going on with your mental health and how hard it is for you to get out of bed with your depression. No one else knows what's going on with your learning disability and just how much harder it takes or how much more time it takes for you to put in to get the same grade as some of your peers. No one else knows what it's like to come from where you come from and wonder if your parents are going to be allowed to stay in this country. No one else knows what it's like to have your financial situation and what it takes for you to try to figure out and what your parents got to do just to make it look like you somewhat look like you fit in here. No one else knows what it's like to be to love who you love and wonder if you're allowed to hold their hand while you walk around these buildings. No one else knows what it's like to wear your skin and consistently be tokenized. No one else knows what it's like to be you because you are the only person who has to fall asleep to the sound of your own heartbeat. But this is the beautiful thing, friends. And I need you to trust me, and I need you to believe me that your story is good enough. And we've got to start sharing our stories with each other. Because so many of us think that we're walking around here alone. But yet when I ask you how many of you tell lies, so many hands go up. But we're not talking about it. And social media has got us feeling like we're behind everybody else. We're playing this comparison game, but no one wins in the comparison Olympics. We all lose. And so instead, we've got to share our stories and talk to one another to make each other feel less alone. We've got to have the courage to lead imperfectly. My friends, I'm going to end on a quote because that's what professional speakers are carefully trained to do. If you want to stay in touch with me, I'm jamestrubo@gmail.com. You feel free to hit me up. You don't have to put the fresh thing in there. If you want to put the fresh thing in there, I'll let you know about some content that I got coming out. But if you just have questions and we can't talk today, I welcome you to reach out to me and let me know what's going on in your world. If I can help you at all, I would love to do so. Like I said, James T. Robo on all social media platforms as well. So, let me end on this quote. Believe it or not, there is another Canadian rapper. Drake is not the only one. So there's this rapper out of Canada named Shad. And Shad simply says this on one of his tracks. He says, well, you can't be everything to everyone, so let me be anything to anyone. Shad said, well, you can't be everything to everyone, so let me be anything to anyone. My friends, your story is good enough that you can be something to someone. Your story is good enough that you can make them feel like they are not alone, like they are enough, like they are going to be okay. We just got to start talking a little bit more. That's the crux of authentic leadership. Thank you all so much for spending time with me today. I really appreciate you.
Thank you so much, James. Can we have another round of applause for him? Now we're nearing the end of SLX, and before I hand it off, I just want to say a couple things to Andrea and the squad. Thank you so much. Though I'm so happy that this event has gone so well and that you guys have done such great work, I will admit it is bittersweet to be leaving this stage and leaving this position. So I just wanted to say thank you once again to the team, to all you sophomores, for allowing me to grow in this position. And now it is my honor to present the co-coordinators for the 1920 school year.
Thank you so much, Priyanka. Hi, everyone. My name is Frances Balto,
I'm Melissa Daniels.
and we are the co-coordinators for the 2019-2020 school year. And we are so incredibly excited and thankful to be here. Yeah.
And we know it's going to be a little bit hard to follow in Priyanka's footsteps, but we are super excited nonetheless. We know that LEAD has come so far in the past few years, and we hope to continue that tradition of innovation.
So we just want to give a quick shout out to some of you guys because we're so thankful for everything that you've done to make today possible. For our evaluators, thank you so much for being here and for putting in the time and effort. We're so thankful to have you here, and we hope to see you next year. For our students, thank you so much for putting in so much work. We hope that you're proud of yourselves because we're so proud of you, and this wouldn't be possible without you. And we really hope to see your projects continue in the future with all the resources you have available here.
And we just want to give one huge thank you to the Hollister family for their consistent support, and to our keynote speaker for that amazing speech.